call meeting, Monday, April the 24th, 4 p.m. And, I'm first. Let's see. Mr. Burris.
Present.
Mr. Pope.
Present.
Mr. Lucas.
Here.
Mr. Barnes.
Present.
Here. All right. Before we get started, if you come up and say a prayer for us.
Our God and our Father in heaven, we thank you so much for the many blessings of life you bestowed upon us. We pray, Father, that as we gather here today, that these commissioners, as they do the business of the county, they keep the citizens at heart and do the best for everyone. We pray, Father, that you bless them as they do their work and guide them through their work. Forgive us of our sins. In Jesus' name we pray, and amen.
Amen.
Let's pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll be seated. Thank you. Okay. We have a guest speaker, and we want to move it to the end. We're going to handle some of our business to begin with, and then we're going to go into the speaker. So I'm going to ask for a motion to approve our meeting minutes for March 2023 work session, regular meeting, work session, and the call meeting. I hear a motion on that. Approve those meetings.
Let's see.
Where are they at?
I think that'll be on the end, I believe.
He's got them in there somewhere.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's at the end.
They were inserted, right?
Yeah, we're on the work session, we've done it.
Well, no, we don't call it. This is, we can handle it as we go. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just so we're all on the same page, this is a little bit unusual because normally we do have a work session before we have a called meeting, but we are only having a called meeting today, so we are in order to take motions and votes. And since it is the desire of the commission to move the guest speakers to the end of the meeting to allow us to go ahead and handle that business first, if we could have a motion to formally do that, and then we'll move into approval of the minutes and the other agenda items.
So we're gonna have to have a motion to move the speakers to the end of the meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I hear a motion that we move that.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Guest speakers.
I'll
to the
second.
end. You second?
He just moved.
Got a motion and a second. All right. Let's vote on it. Mr. Burris?
Aye.
Mr. Pope? Mr. Lucas?
Aye.
Mr. Barnes?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Move it to the end. Okay. Now we need to go to the agenda items. Okay.
We'll go back to the meeting minutes.
We can go back to the meeting, though, can't we?
Yeah.
The regular meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, A, the health insurance policy renewal. Mr. John Leggett. You would
Mr.
come
Chairman,
up.
before we get to that, we will need to handle the meeting minutes, that first thing on the agenda. The approval of the,
Well, I asked a while ago about that, didn't they? Moved it back, did you? Y'all correct me now.
Okay, so that first one, no, not any good. Okay, all right.
I move that we accept the minutes, the approval of the meeting minutes for the month of March, which include March 13th, for the work session, regular meeting, March 27th, work session, and called meeting.
Okay,
Second.
got a second? Right. Okay. Let's vote on it. Mr. Pope?
Aye.
Mr. Lucas?
Aye.
Mr. Barnard? Mr. Burris?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All right. Now we'll go to the Agenda items, the group health insurance policy renewal. Mr. John Leggett.
Good afternoon, Board, Chairman.
John.
Thanks for having me. It's John Leggett, MSI Benefits Group, here to go through the renewal and talk about what we're looking at this upcoming plan year. I think all of you had the PowerPoint presentation, looks like this, so if you'll follow along with me, and we'll start on slide 2. Briefly here, just to kind of recap, I always like to refresh everybody, remember what happened last year for this current plan year. So last year, our fixed costs went up about just over 7%, about $65,000. Our claim liability did not change, so we ended up renewing the county's benefit program, health insurance plan, with no change in coverage, no change in cost. And the budget went up just $65,000 for the current plan year, or $4.8 million was the budgeted number. We saw an increase in dental and vision in both those plans, and nothing else changed. So that was this current plan year that we're in. So if we go to slide 3, kind of have some claims on here and how things have been running. As you know, we're self-insured. We moved to a self-insured model in 2021, and that has worked out very well. You see a couple plan years there, 2021 through 2022. And how the total liability ran for that year was just over $3.1 million. Of that, you can see we had $2.3 million in medical claims, $815,000 in pharmacy claims. That is a full 12-month period. If you go down below, you'll see the current plan year that we're in now is July 2022 through March 23. Of course, we still have 3 months left in the plan year. And the thing that'll jump out here is if you notice, our medical claims are running better than last year. Last year, our average monthly spend was about $192,000. This year, we're at $156,000 for medical claims. So that's running a lot better than the prior year. But what'll jump out to you is the pharmacy claims. So pharmacy claims average spend per month is about $93,000 compared to $68,000 prior period. It's about a 37% jump. So if you annualize it out, we're looking to spend just over $1.1 million in prescription drugs. So we're seeing a big jump there in the pharmacy. Even with that, our overall plan spend is running better than anticipated. It's just the pharmacy is what really has jumped up 37%. So overall, we're running about 20% below the projected numbers. So when the plan year ends, just like last year, the numbers are going to be a lot better than what was budgeted for because of that. And so when I say when the county elected to go self-insured, it's worked out very well. And so this year, if you'll go to the next slide, I got one more slide. Slide 4 is on prescription drugs. This kind of gives you the breakdown. So over on the left side is March 2021 through February 2022. It's a 12-month period. You can see the total scripts filled. A script is, I go pick up a medication for 1 month, that's a script. So you got 8,294 scripts. And the total cost for those meds for that 12-month period was $102,000. The average cost being about $12 a month for those generic drugs. If you go over to the right, which is the most recent 12 months, March 22 through February 2023, while our script total dropped from 82.94 down to 66.56, the total cost went up to $207,000. So it was about 103% increase. So we saw a 20% drop in our scripts, but a 103% increase in our cost. If you go down below, that's generic, but below that is the brand. Brand, same scenario. Brand, prior year, we had 883 scripts, so a lot less scripts, but they're the expensive ones. And the current period is at 813. So an 8% decrease in scripts. If you look at the cost, $602,000 prior period, $866,000 current period. So that's about a 44% increase. So our total spend prior was $704,000, whereas the most recent period is just over right at $1.1 million, about a 52% increase. So when we received and by the way, the top 25 filled prescriptions, they account for 7% of the overall scripts filled, but about 93% of the total cost. So it's the high cost drugs that are really driving the county's prescription drug costs. So if you go to the next slide, slide 5, as you know, we currently have Anthem Blue Cross as our third-party administrator. The county's insurance is through Anthem. Anthem is the TPA third-party administrator. They handle our stop-loss insurance, and the pharmacy the provider network, and then, of course, the pharmacy benefit managers through Anthem. It's IngenioRx, which is owned by Anthem. And so we got the renewal this year, and having gone out to market, we did go look at different TPAs. We did look at different pharmacy managers and stop-loss carriers, because Anthem will not let us carve anything out. When I say carve it out, say, okay, well, if we're having, these increased costs in our pharmacy, why don't we just take that and move it away from Anthem? But we can't do that due to our size. So Anthem says everything has to be with us, or you got to take it to another TPA. So Meritain came in with the most competitive numbers, and so the option 2 there is changing away from Anthem, but sticking on option 1, our renewal. Our current fixed cost right now is $836,000, and it's going up about just almost 7%, about $55,000 if we renew with Anthem. If you go down below, you'll see our claim liability. So the claim liability is how we budget and how we plan for the plan year. Currently, it's right at just under 3.3 million, and we got them to reduce the claim liability 5%. So it's actually going down slightly when you look at the claim liability to just over 3.1. However, they're hitting us with a laser, and so what a laser is every single covered member under the Ware County's benefit program has a $100,000 deductible. The county pays all the claims up to that $100,000, and that's when the reinsurance kicks in. But what a laser is if they come in and say, well, this one person right here is going to have $600,000. So the claim liability on that person is $600,000, where everybody else is $100,000. Obviously, it has to do with conditions that are going on. They're common when you're self-insured. We have not seen one, but so the $600,000 laser is added to one individual. And so when you come down to the bottom, you look at our full claim liability. It would actually, when you factor in the additional $500,000 in laser liability, we're looking at $3.6 million. So if you take the 3.6, add the $892,000 in fixed costs, subtract out what the employees pay, the $566,000. We're coming out at just over 3.9 million would be the budgeted number if we were to stay with Anthem. So the option 2 is through Meritain. That would be in a different TPA. We would obviously be leaving Anthem. We would still have the same $100,000 deductible on every single individual as we do now. Their fixed cost is relatively the same as where it would be with Anthem. It's right at 6%, so slightly below, about $5,000 below. The network would be Aetna. Instead of the Anthem network going forward, we'd be using the Aetna POS network. And the biggie is the Veracity. I'm going to spend a minute on a couple of slides talking about Veracity, but Veracity would manage our pharmacy program with ProCare's help. And the laser liability through Swiss Re is $250,000 instead of $600,000. So there'd still be an additional $150,000 liability on that one person, but it's obviously $350,000 lower. So if you take all that and you add it together, you subtract out the employee deductions, which we will talk about, but they're a little bit lower. The county's budget number would be just over 3.3 million. So that's actually a 7% decrease from current. So you're looking at 7% decrease by going with option 2, or an 11% increase by renewing with Anthem. So the total difference is about $638,000 in the budget number. Okay, I'll move on and you can ask more questions, but if you look at the next slide, slide 6, this just kind of gives you the makeup of the plan. Option 1 is current renewal, Anthem. The county's plan is made up by Anthem. Anthem's a TPA, they handle the pharmacy, the network, and the stop loss. Option 2 is Meritain as the pharmacy benefit, Meritain is the third-party administrator, the TPA. They're the ones that would be paying the claims. Right now it's Anthem paying those claims. They pay the providers. They're the ones that would provide the employees with the ID cards and provide employees with a website where they can view claims and things like that. Aetna is the network, proprietary network that members would access. Again, Swiss Re, and then would handle the reinsurance, and then Veracity and MCRX, which is ProCare, would be the pharmacy. So that just kind of gives you a visual of how the plan would look. So if you go to slide, where are we at, 7?
Yes, sir.
Slide 7, got turned around in here. Slide 7 is, this just talks about what we're doing through Veracity. We've implemented this program at about 12 governments. You're going to see the example that we're showing you. Glenn County's a client of ours. But Veracity and ProCare, 5 different ways, that the way they manage and project the savings. One is the contract. They eliminate the spread pricing, where I buy a drug for $5, I'm Anthem, or I'm a pharmacy benefit manager, I buy the drug for $5 a month, I turn around and sell it for $20 and make money there. That's how a lot of the health plans do make money, is on the pharmacy piece. And so this program eliminates that. The cost of the drug is the cost of the drug. They eliminate all the spread pricing. The other thing is the pharmacies, they have a select and non-select pharmacies. Believe it or not, but there's 4 pharmacies out there, CVS, Target, Walgreens, and Rite Aid, that on average charge about $15 more for generic drugs than other pharmacies, like local pharmacies. And so we set the plan up where members can still go there, but instead of they pay a $5 copay for generic drugs if they go to a select. If they go to a non-select, which is one of those 4 pharmacies, they pay $20. So members still have access to them, they just pay the difference, because the thought is if you're getting charged, if the county's getting charged more on the back end, why aren't we not putting a price difference out there to kind of drive participation to the lower cost pharmacies? Same medications and all that, just paying more for it. Formulary management is eliminating drugs that maximize rebates. A rebate is you pay a lot of money for this drug, and then the drug manufacturer sends a check to somebody. You can go to the pharmacy, you can go to a doctor, it can come back to the health plan, which is what it does now. And so this plan essentially eliminates all drug rebates. There's no implementing therapeutic type drugs that are set for the big rebates. The last 2 are the biggest, international pharmacy and manufacturer's assistance. The international pharmacy is something we've been doing for certain drugs, where members get them mailed directly to their house. It's 50% off. It comes from the same exact pharmacy manager, drug manufacturer that's in the U.S. It's just less regulations. So the member gets it for free, and the county gets a minimum of 50% off the drug. And then the very last one there is manufacturer's assistance. A lot of these big drug companies have foundations that they've set up where there's millions of dollars in them, and members can actually access those foundations and get the drugs for free. And so what Veracity does is anybody, and there's going to be a handful of people that are on these types of meds, it's not a lot, like a Humira type drug. Veracity has folks that helps employees, members that are taking those medications get signed up and start getting that medication mailed directly to their house, and it comes off the plan. So Humira is a good one because it's $80,000. So somebody could be taking that right now, they're paying whatever they're paying. They can download a copay card off the Humira website, but the county's paying $5,000, $6,000 a month. Well, if we can get that off the plan, the member still gets their drug mailed to them through this foundation. Obviously, that saves the county $80,000 a month. So this is where the big savings are coming from. If you look at the very next page, page 8 is going to show you what they're projecting the savings to be. Overall, it's right at $500,000. $210,000 through the manufacturer's assistance. These are all conservative numbers. Generally, it's a lot higher than this. They try to go under what they think it's going to be. We've seen it in about, like I said, a dozen different governments, and it actually does work. $125,000 for the mail order, for international mail order, and then you can see the other ones. So some of the drugs that you see that are going to be filled under the county's plan today, we had to send them information, but you'll see Ozempic, Trulicity, Humira's on there. A lot of these drugs, if you watch TV late at night, you'll see these commercials. They're the expensive drugs. So this program helps members access it's going to help members get the drugs for free, and at the same time, it's going to save the county a lot of money. If you look on slide 9, I put on there how it's worked for Blaine County with their permission. In 2020, I got all out of whack here. In 2020, their total drug spend, they're a little bit bigger, but their total drug spend was just over $3 million. In 2021, it went to just under 1.5, and then last year, same thing, right just under 1.5. So it's literally cut their drug spend in half. And they were our first client that we put on there. Since then, we think we put another 10, 11, 12 different other governments, and it's been the same across the board. Anybody that's implemented this program. So Veracity is local they're out of Kennesaw, actually, which is where we're at, but ProCare's out of Gainesville, the big pharmacy manager there that has about 500 employees. And it's not a matter of, well, we're not going to cover these drugs, this is how you're going to save the money. We're going to find better avenues to get these drugs at a lower cost. And no one is going to go without their medication. It's, if I have Humira and I go fill that medication, they're gonna cover that, they're gonna fill it. But someone's gonna reach out and say, hey, you know, we have this new program, we want you to sign up for it. And it's just a matter of signing up for it, for a lot of the meds. But that's what Veracity does. They have representatives that are gonna help them actually get enrolled in these programs. And we've seen it work with a number of clients. And the customer service, it's not like, you know, now we're with Anthem. Anthem's huge, right? You know, and Ingenio is Anthem's pharmacy benefit manager. I can tell you right now, we don't get the personal assistance with them that we do get when we work with Veracity and Procare. We're actually talking to people and that are all have the same goal. Slide 10 is, showing me this front and back. Slide 10 is the current plan designs. So right now, we're not making any recommendations on changing any of the plan designs right now. We still have two plans, or we have two plans right now that are offered employees, base and buy-up. We're looking to keep those plans the same, with the exception of the one tweak, if we go with option 2, that is. If you renew with option 1, then there's literally no change, but option 2 is the $5 versus $20 generic copay. So employees will be able to go to the preferred pharmacies, the local pharmacies, you know, Publix, Kroger, any of those grocery stores that have medical pharmacies, and pay $5. And it's only the Rite Aid, CVS, Walgreens, and Target where you pay $20. All the other benefits would remain the same. Also in option 2 is a little bit lower deductions for employees. It's a slight decrease to employee deductions. So if you go option 2, just know that includes that benefit design and those costs. On page 11, we're still waiting on some options with dental and vision. We got hit with an increase on the dental. It's certain to say we're going to be leaving Anthem no matter what happens on the dental. They're hitting us with a 22% increase on the dental and no change on the vision, but we want to keep those two together. We've gotten a 4% increase option from Guardian. There's still a couple other carriers we're waiting on that are the deadlines this week. So the recommendation you'll see on the back is going to be able to take the lowest, most comparable option, whoever that ends up being. It could be Guardian, but it's definitely not going to be Anthem. You can see Standard is also there. They're better. They're more competitive than Anthem. And then we're waiting on Delta Dental and Emeritus. There's a couple other carriers that hasn't responded yet, both on the dental and on the vision. Again, the vision didn't change with Anthem, but we're waiting to see where everybody comes in there. And then the next slide, slide 13, is our basic life. We changed a few years ago to One America from Anthem Life. And as you can imagine, there's been some claims over the past few years. The basic life loss ratio has been about 462%. The voluntary life is about 344%. Overall, our loss ratio is about 229%. So there is an increase. It's just under 12%, or you can look at it, it's about $5,000 annually. It's obviously COVID took a toll on life insurance companies, so they're giving an increase, but it's not significant enough to where they were no longer competitive. And based on the customer service experience that we've had with One America, we're recommending staying with them for life and disability for all the benefits that are offered to employees. 14 is just kind of summarizing everything. Our medical and our life and long-term. If you go to the very bottom, you can see if you go with option 1, we're looking at about a 9% increase, or about $400,000 overall to the budget. And option 2, moving to Meritain, keeping One America, is about $240,000 decrease. And so, if you look at the very last page, the recommendation page. We got a new printer and it automatically prints front and back, and it's killing me. I did not change that setting. Okay, page 15. The recommendation after meeting with management, HR, finance, county manager, and looking at all this, obviously we looked at a lot more claim details and things like that. Due to the things that we think we can do, the savings that we can see on the pharmacy piece, I mean, due to the cost difference, and keep in mind, we have clients with Meritain, and we have several with Veracity. Our recommendation is option 2, to change the Meritain, Aetna, Procare, and Swiss Re, including with the dental and vision. it is, we recommend going with the lowest comparable option. So every carrier that we're quoting is a reputable company, and they're gonna match the benefits that we currently have in place now. Keep in mind also, the dental and vision is voluntary, so this is employees, so we're trying to keep the lowest cost for the employees on that. But being able to vote on this and approve it today, we recommend changing the dental and vision to the lowest, most competitive option there, whoever that may end up being, which we should have this week. Renewing with One America for the life and disability. And then one other thing that we are, we didn't put a slide on, but our current flexible spending account, our FSA, is administered through Health Equity, which is tied to Anthem. So if we move away from Anthem, then we recommend going with Admin America, very comparable, PEPM. They're independent from the carriers. We have a lot of clients with them. They do a good job. They would manage the FSA. So that is the recommendation based on our meetings and everything that we've discussed. Questions?
Okay.
We choose,
Do we have any
we
questions?
choose your recommendation. What choices would the employees have? Are there just the number covered, the family and that, or are there any options for the employees?
So that's not gonna change. If you go back and you look at slide 10, so the employees right now, we have 100, no, we have just over 200 covered. We have 135 on the base plan and 83 employees enrolled in the buy-up plan. So you can see the numbers, 75 single, 25 with a spouse, 14 with a child,
Right.
and so on. And so those employees, you go over to the right, if they wanted to keep the $1,500 80% base plan, that they would do that, and their costs would actually go down. So, you know, somebody paying $161 right now, a paycheck would go down to $156.
Gotcha.
And, you know, of course, every year, employees have the option to switch back, you know, go from the base to the buy to the base, whichever one they like. But everybody would still have those options. And so based on the current makeup,
Right.
the total amount that the county collects from employees is right now is about $566,000. It would go to 500, right at 549,000, just below. Which is the
Gotcha.
yellow number there.
So after, I mean, once the commission makes the decision, then you and Human Resources get with all the employees and they get signed up like they want to?
Correct. We're gonna still do just like we do every year. We put the employee benefits guide together, the packets, where there's a lot of education involved with the pharmacy program especially. And there'll be noise in the beginning,
Right.
because anytime you make a carrier change, you know, there's gonna be some noise. Anybody that's on a medication that requires a prior authorization, they generally will have to get that approved again. One of the things that we'll ask from Anthem is a prior authorization file. And it's a file that has anybody that's taken a medication that's been pre-approved, and we can take that and provide that over to the new PBM, the pharmacy benefit manager, so that makes it a little easier transition.
I've had some employees say that some of the drugs are not approved anymore, they don't get clearance for it, and some of the procedures, medical procedures, have you seen that with Anthem and other?
You see it with all of them. I mean, they all have different formularies, and, you know, new drugs hit the market, and their formularies constantly change. It's like I was taking this yesterday and it was approved, now it's not. Well, why'd that happen? It's because they found it maybe a lower cost option or a better option, and they've taken that off the formulary and they put a new one on there. But there are a lot of medications that they have to follow the FDA guidelines, and there are a lot of medications out there that require a doctor's involvement. Why are you being prescribed this? What's going on? Why are you being prescribed, you know, the $1,000 a month medication when the generic has the exact same ingredients and will work just as well? And the doctor, that's when the doctor has to step in and say, well, I've already tried the generic, it doesn't work, there are side effects, whatever it may be. That's why my patient needs this medication. That's when if that happens, they approve it, they put it on file, it lasts for 12 months.
Right.
And then after 12 months, they generally have to get a new approval for that medication.
If formulary is, when we sign the contract with you, does it stay the same for 12 months, or can they vary
The
at any
formulary,
time?
generally, I think it changes maybe once or twice a year.
Once, twice?
Once or twice a year, generally. But keep in mind, the county's self-insured. If you said, you know what, we want to cover these, we want this on the formula, you have the ability to do that
Right.
now. Whereas you didn't have that before.
Okay.
When you were fully insured, you couldn't really customize things. Not that we've
Thank
done
you.
that, but.
Thank you.
I got one. Are there gonna be ways that we can educate the employees best place to buy the drugs?
Oh, absolutely. As part of our open enrollment process, we've got, it'll be in their benefit guide, and when they meet with us, we're gonna make sure, it'll be in the letter that we put in there. They'll figure out real quick that, and also you can get a 90-day supply for $5 if you go to those non-preferred at the pharmacy. So to get a 90-day supply for $5 is a pretty good deal, but, it'll still be up to the employee. If they say, you know what, I like going to Walgreens, I wanna get my med there, they can go there, they'll just have to pay $20 for it. So it's really up to them. And I tell you, when this rolled out, Walmart was on the non-preferred, and they've since moved over, so now they're preferred, so Walmart's preferred vendor.
Yeah, Mr. Leggett, and I read this 2 or 3 times, trying to, and I was a little confused. Now I'm thoroughly confused now.
I'm glad to help.
I'm just almost like at discombobulation state now. And I know what you're saying, and but it's just my personal opinion about insurances and Medicare and Medicaid and all this stuff. It seems like it's by design made to be confusing to the average layperson. Because I know you're talking about the medication. If you do this over here, you can do this right here. But if you don't do it over here, then you got to go over here, and
It's legalized crime.
yeah, and and just like the medication and stuff and all, and I've been dealing with a lot of stuff. My wife, had been sick and all, and I tell you, I got a good knowledge about the stuff now, that I didn't have, and it's kind of confusing. But I guess all we can do is rely on what the manager, the HR, and I don't know, maybe Scotty, that's why maybe don't have any help. They're trying to figure this stuff out.
After about 32 years, it gets that way.
Keep in mind, we represent the county.
Right.
So we're here in your best interest.
Right.
We've been here for 10 years now. We were the ones that recommended Anthem when you guys left United Healthcare years ago and made the recommendation to go self-insured, and that has worked out. The county's really benefited from it. And so, I'll tell you this, when we made the recommendation, I was at the Board of Commissioners meeting for Glenn County when they said you're gonna save over $1 million what they projected. They said, where do we sign? And they were our first one. I was a little nervous, not knowing, because we'd never dealt with this program. Now, after seeing it in action with about 12 different clients, I have no doubt that when they say they're gonna cut your costs by $500,000, they're gonna do it. And your employees are not gonna lose access to the drugs that they need, the medications they need.
So what you're giving us is the best information and the best recommendation based on your knowledge about the situation.
And keep in mind, Maritane, you think, oh, who's Maritane, right? You've never heard of Maritane. Well, Aetna owns Maritane. So, and Aetna is owned by CVS, which is kind of funny, but.
What I know, when you start talking about the medical and pharmacy claims and how they're going up like $93,000 versus what was it? Was it $815 and then $837? So you attribute that, I guess, to just the drug increase, the amount?
Oh, it's definitely the drugs, because our medical claims have gone down. We've seen our drug costs just skyrocket, 52% increase overall in the most recent 12 months.
So what about just like, I know it just passed, I think it's maybe already a law about the insulin, where it's not $35 pretty much top. That's what it caps off at.
I think that has to do, is that Medicare? Yeah, that's mostly Medicare. This
On
is-
Medicare, okay, so it wouldn't be applicable to,
Well, insulin's one of those that you can actually get through the mail order, international mail order.
okay.
That's 50% off. That's one of the drugs that, folks will be able to get.
So we got our HR director, Ms. Bailey.
Sir?
You understand all this, I'm pretty sure.
I got it down to a T now.
Yeah.
Not really, but I do understand it, enough to knowledgeably speak on it. And we think the option 2 is the best. Looking at the pharmacy side of it, yeah. I think we're gonna have a huge benefit with that, because that's where our problem area is this year, is the pharmacy.
And if I can say something about the pharmacy, you're talking about where county's gonna say, is what he's talking about. But if you have one script that's on that list, and you pay $35 a month for that every month, if you get it changed where you don't pay anything for the same thing, you're saving $420 a year. So that's saving, that's more savings on top of what, and you're still getting the same medication.
And I think I would be fair to say that all these commissioners up here, everybody, we want whatever's gonna be best for the employees
Absolutely.
and for the county, you know, as a whole, you know, that's the bottom line, you know.
You know, if the county had over 500 employees, I'd be standing up here saying, stay with Anthem, but let's move your pharmacy. But because we're under that 500 threshold, they won't let us. So in order to get access to that pharmacy program that we're talking about, you have to have an independent, or not independent, you have to have a TPA that'll allow it,
So,
which is Maritime.
so it's got to be under 500 to be able to
Glenn
get.
County still has Anthem as their TPA, but they have Veracity ProCare as their pharmacy manager.
Appreciate your presentation.
Okay. Got one question, sir. On the life insurance, I know right now we're staying with One America. That's what you recommend, to stay with One America. Let's say 2 or 3 years from now, another company comes up with better offers. What happens to the ones that's been covered 3, 4, 5, 6 years under One
Their
America?
grandfather in automatically covered. They would roll
So
over.
they keep it?
It's a group policy, covers everybody who's an active employee.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything else? Okay,
Thank you, John. Thank you, sir.
thank you. John, you're a good talker. Good salesman.
Tell you the truth, right?
That's why you go to Jacksonville, the tallest building you see down there about the insurance company.
Yeah, he kind of had me mesmerized there for a while.
$1 million a year man.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna need to vote on this then, Scott?
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
that's to,
Now, to do the
that's
options.
option 2.
We're
Yes,
gonna go with option 2.
and that's, with the, condition that, the vision and dental, policy,
Okay.
will change. It only depends on which proposal we get that's less expensive. Right, John?
Okay. Who wants to make that motion that knows,
So moved.
one of you move it,
Jerry,
So-
on how you do with the option 2?
Option 2.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Let's vote on it. Mr. Pope,
Aye.
Mr. Barner,
Aye.
Mr. Burris,
Aye.
Mr. Lucas.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All right. Now, let's go to the next one.
John, you good? We ready to go? Safe trip.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, Bailey Street Park Pool.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I put this on the agenda. Last year, we were notified by the YMCA who was doing our pool operation at the Bailey Street Pool. They declined to continue operation starting this year. In the situation that we're in now, being that they're not wanting to do that, we would have to hire actually either contract or hire or someone get trained to be the operator and also hire lifeguards. And I know that Lance is here, he might want to chime in, but there's a little budget there on what we would have to, the additional amount we'd have to add to hire lifeguards to operate that pool. And if I'm not mistaken, Lance, it's first of June to the end of July, correct? That's correct. Yeah. So I just wanted to see what the commission felt about that, if you wanted to move forward to do this. One of the issues that was brought up by the YMCA was security during hours of operation. I contacted the city. They did say that they have a uniformed officer on duty that patrols that area. And I don't know if we would need somebody there full-time with some of the history that's happened there, with some of the fights that broke out over I think it was last year. But I just wanted to put that out, to what the issues were, to see what the commission felt. And then we would, from a staff standpoint, try to make that happen.
So if we do it, it's gonna cost us additional $12,000 for all of that?
Plus,
Yes, sir,
Get a
that's-
lifeguard and,
That's just lifeguards. You know, we'll have some other costs in there. We do operate it with chemicals and
Life
such.
jacket.
But instead of actually operating the pool, we'll take that on ourselves too. Before the YMCA did that for us. And they had some of their programs there at the pool at the time for the last 2 years, 3 years, I think.
This does not include an operator nor chemicals.
No, not that cost, no, sir.
Your amount of $12,000 seems pretty low just for lifeguards.
Additional, yeah.
Yeah, the chemicals, as I understand it, they already included in the budget.
budget, yes,
Already,
sir.
it's already their budget for that, and, on the lifeguards, that's if they have to have certification, if you come in, they already certified, then you would, that 250, you know, you wouldn't have to deal with that.
Right. If they're already certified.
Right,
yes, sir.
if they're already certified. And then understand that the operator, that's someone that could be used basically from the rec department to, I mean,
Yes, sir.
yeah, the chemical guy, whatever, yeah.
The city, or they won't furnish no security guard?
No, sir, I asked, this time last year, and they said they had a officer on patrol in that area, but they would be available if they were needed. And that was one of the issues brought up by the Y, was the security part of the operation for lifeguards.
Okay,
Would they still do it if we furnished a security guard?
I asked, but I've never heard back.
okay, cool. And I'm glad, I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman, because if that's the only issue, and, you know, one of the things I was trying to find out as far as, incidents, and I know there have been some incidents that happen out there, did these incidents happen during the operation of when the pool was open? Because I know they have certain events that take place, you know, maybe like, I think, without getting into calling the names of the different events, but they have certain events where people basically like, I don't know if they rent out that area or whatever.
Yes, sir. The city permits that for various events that take place in the park.
And sometimes the thing that, and as far as, and I'm trying to get some information on that, as far as incidents that have happened over there, my whole thing is, did it happen during the time when the pool was in operation, or was this something that happened late up in the year when the pool wasn't even open?
It was when the pool was open. To the best of my knowledge, it was during pool operations. Yes.
Okay, well, like I said, and I, you know, don't discount that, but that's what I was trying to find out. But also, if people, when they're having these different events, I don't know how the application reads, but if they're having an event and they get a permit through the city, then I think it need to be inclusive within that permit about the security and all this kind of stuff. I think that would kind of circumvent maybe a lot of them problems, and if that person has to pay for that security, just like if, I think they ought to incorporate a cleanup deposit also. That once they have it, whoever's responsible for it, make sure that the area is policed and they get the security deposit back, just like when you use the auditorium or anything else.
So if we go with what you're talking about, Leonard, say if somebody wants to have a big birthday party at the pool, the city will issue them a permit to have a pool party out there and have 400 or 500 people out there?
We would only operate it for a set time period.
Right.
And it would have to be after hours, and if it's after hours when we're not operating it, then they would have to supply their own staff.
Yeah, I'm talking about.
If that's what.
Seems
what
like
the
to me
event
that'd be a big liability.
Big.
If we had, that's just like the Exchange Club out there leasing out their big room, you know, for parties and stuff like that. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you
I do
have,
know when they permit events out there in the park, like on weekends, if there's any debris that need to be picked up, trash or whatever the case may be, the city staff handles that. All we would be assigned to is operating the swimming pool during the summer season.
Which would be about 2 months.
Roughly 2
Roughly,
months,
roughly.
June and July.
And that's, sometimes that's really the only outlet some of those kids have, you know, in that area, because other than that, you don't even have another pool, I don't think, in the city.
Right.
And, county for that matter goes, you know.
Mr. Manager, I would like to piggyback off of what Mr. Burr said. I agree with everything he said, but there's one thing that concerns me heavily from my background. You know, a law enforcement officer is always responding to, you know, something that has already happened or is ongoing. And that is my biggest concern. And what Steve said, I also want to piggyback off what he said. when you're responding to, you're already behind, okay? I believe either the city needs to step up to the plate, or if we're gonna take the monkey on our back to pay this money and keep this pool open for the children, then why can't we provide security through our sheriff's department? For that to be a deterrent,
Exactly.
okay? Because the city's, it's evident the city's not gonna pay this money. It's up to us to pay it. The Y's letting it go back to us, and the kids do need something in that area. But if, I don't want a responding to, I'd rather have the deterrent present and there, you know, for the hours of operation.
And also, if I may, I like what the chairman said, okay, if this is the only hurdle that the YMCA is saying that this is why we won't do it because it's not in security. If security is provided, then would they continue as they have been doing, you know?
Yeah, I did ask, but there was no response to that question.
So they weren't interested.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
They won't out of it altogether.
They want out of it altogether.
So so that's really not the reason why. They
I
just,
don't believe so.
Yeah.
I think they just want out of it.
Let's tell all the youngers to go to the river then.
I figured you were gonna say that. I don't know why. But, Mr. Allison, could ask Mr. Allison if he could come up, Mr. Chairman?
Let me see.
Mr. Allison, the athletic director.
Yeah, would he come up?
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Adams.
As it currently stands right now, which, like I say, the YMCA, they wanna get out of it. Is there a lot of problem getting lifeguards for the pool? I mean, I know one time the mountain was paying, but I think that's been bumped up, so is there a problem getting lifeguards?
So we're talking to the YMCA and Kevin Sutherland, he did mention that the lifeguards are kind of, well, getting them is one thing, but making sure they pass the test is a whole other thing. And so I think that's the situation we'll be looking into. I'm pretty sure we can get them, but they have to be able to pass the test to get the certification.
So the ones that were out there, they work for the Y?
Yes, the ones at the YMCA that was at Bailey Street, they did work for the YMCA.
Okay, so as far as these incidents and all, were you getting any feedback from the Y about that? You know,
I have never received a complaint from the YMCA staff at all.
I think they just called the police department. Not reporting anything, just called the police department to get it straightened out.
like the YMCA?
Yeah.
Well, I definitely don't wanna put anybody, you know, in jeopardy or anything like that, but, again, let's try to find out what the real reason is why, because I would hope that, hey, we could keep things like it is, you know, as far as providing, you know, the pool for them, but we don't wanna jeopardize anybody's, you know, livelihood or, you know, harm to them either.
Correct.
You believe, sir, that you can locate certified lifeguards before time, before June
I don't know
1st?
about certified lifeguards, but we're talking with Kevin, he was definitely on board for us to do a training with him if we wasn't able to meet the first class, that he would be open to do a second class.
Okay. And I would also, Mr. County Manager, I would like to get a hold of, and I'll even make the call myself if it's okay with the commission, the chief, Tom Cox, and ask him, you know, during those months last year, what kind of incidents were there and how many? I would like to know that answer.
But,
Because
Mr.
that
I
is-
can maybe help you out on that, Commissioner Lucas. I'm waiting right now for that information to come back.
Okay,
I think they call them level 2,
okay, yeah.
crimes or
Yes, sir.
whatever, you know, to find, you know, try to find out, not just right at the park, but in that
Immediate area.
area.
Because, I mean, it, you know, chief is correct. I mean, they've always got somebody assigned, it's called the
Right.
north side. They're assigned to the north side. But they might be handling the situation and you have to call the south side unit over there. And the south side will be coming from the Walmart, Walker Jones area all the way to
Right.
Bailey Street, which will take them about 7 or 8 minutes. That's why I'm saying be proactive instead of reactive, because police are always behind. I mean, I've done it for years and years. Steve done it for years and years. Commissioner Barnard. But police officer, you're always behind. You're always behind. You're responding to something that has already occurred. So if we can have somebody on site, you know, show of force, so to speak, maybe we can deter about 75–80% of those incidents, especially if we're gonna take this on.
Right. And I don't know, this might be a wild card, but you know, we may have a school system may want to kind of help on this. I mean, because these are kids that's in school, and they have a police force there, and you know, these offside, you know, during the summer, so it may be something we could work out.
That's a good idea.
You know, with them, you know.
Let's table this thing and let's look into that and see if the Y will take it back up if we
If they would do that, that would be great.
Would that be good with y'all?
Yeah,
Let y'all,
and then try to see about some
let's look at
security.
it some more.
I got one question for you.
Yes, sir.
Off-season, when the pool's not, what kind of cost are they? I know you have to keep the water, chemicals.
No, we, actually, every year, we have to drain the pool and
Or
go
leave
through
it drained?
the whole cleaning process again each year because we're not running it during the off-season. So we actually are cleaning the pool now, it's over halfway done. It's empty, so they're cleaning it out.
So what kind of condition is the buildings out there, dressing rooms and stuff like that? Are they gonna have to be a bunch of money spent
So
redoing them?
we did repairs last year on the restroom, and that is actually a part of the inspection. So you have to pass the inspection to open up the pool, and they look in the restrooms and make sure everything is in place like it should, operational. Now, I'm not saying they don't need to be updated, but the operation.
You should pass inspection this year after the work that was done last year.
Correct, we did a great amount of work last summer.
And I think, you know, we're fortunate to have someone on this commission that has a lot of expertise in pools, sitting to my left. And, got a former police officer, so, you know, we might get one to be the operator, the other one to be security.
Yeah, there you go. Big
Help
purple.
yourself.
How about you, Pike?
Give us
Help
up in
yourself.
Yeah, I'm in the pool business, and I think every child needs to learn how to swim. And I know it's an activity that everybody loves, but I don't think 3 lifeguards are gonna do it. But if you find lifeguards and we make the obligation to have full-time security anytime that gate's open on site, then I think it's worth giving it a try, see if it can be done.
So,
I would like to see the city to help participate in this too.
Okay.
It's gonna come up under the service and delivery strategy.
There you go.
I think it won't hurt to ask them, you know, I mean, because
Yeah.
Okay.
Move along.
So we're gonna,
Table
Any
it.
motion to table it?
I'll make a motion that we table
Second.
Got a motion and a second.
till we get them answers.
okay, so you open for discussion right now on that?
I got a second, didn't
Yeah, I just wonder if I can, on the
Yeah, you
discussion.
want-
So, just to make sure I'm clear, so what are we actually tabling now?
the, until we find out if the Y will do this with the security or what, you know, if they'll come back and still manage it, whatever.
Well, I think Mr. County Manager said that why wasn't,
They just hadn't
He asked them
answered
that.
back, huh?
he asked them that, and they didn't even respond.
But they hadn't responded, so we may give them time.
But I mean, in the meantime, we still, right now, the plans are to open the pool, even if the Y doesn't, you know, agree to do it. I mean, because they say they wouldn't do it. So that's why I'm trying to find out what are we actually tabling?
I would let Lance get certified and advertise for lifeguards and get going, because opening day will be here
That's
pretty
right.
quick. In the meantime, figure out with the sheriff about security.
That's why, I guess that's why I'm
Who
saying,
would run it then if the Y doesn't run it? Would we have
Well,
to?
we're still
appoint
running.
Somebody to do every bit of it?
The gentleman standing right
Then it
here,
would cost us a lot more than $12,000 probably.
no, that's what he's saying. If we went this route here, roughly, you're talking about $12,000, say $13,000. But if the Y did it, then, you know, we naturally have to pay them for the lifeguard, but then a lot of other stuff we wouldn't have to incur. But, you know, again, being at the sake of sounding repetitious, if we tabling it just to find out, you know, about the Y's pretty much said what they not gonna do. So all we need to do now is just, hey, if we try to go and get things in motion because June 1st will be here before we know it.
Let's go see if he can put a program together.
I'll do some, fact checking tomorrow and
Yeah.
also check with the sheriff and see if that's possible.
Come up with a budget, let us approve the budget.
We wanna table it then, or not?
I don't think, we need to really even table it.
You just go on
We don't
with
need
it.
to vote on it yet.
We can't vote on it.
I
can
mean,
we?
vote on
What
it.
we're
That's
gonna
fine.
do?
I mean,
We
there's
don't
some
know what we're
consensus
gonna do.
there. I kinda know where I need to go from here. I just wanted to make sure y'all aware of
Right.
that, so we're working in that direction.
Okay.
And what it may be, just so we have consensus in the minutes, is Commissioner Lucas, if he'd like to revise his motion to table it for the purpose of staff taking the steps that would be necessary to open the pool, including, getting the necessary training, looking into the lifeguard issue, maybe double checking with the YMCA one more time and making sure that was an absolute no, whatever all those steps may be that the county manager can determine, and then report back at the next meeting.
Okay, you
Sound
want
good to me.
the motion?
I withdraw.
Okay.
Thank you, Lance.
Someone will have to withdraw it. Wasn't there a second on it?
If he just revises his motion and then we revise the second, we can say all in favor and move on.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
All in
agreeing, I
favor?
agree.
Okay,
Aye.
okay. Scott, it's in your hand.
Yes, sir.
Now, the Regional T-Splosh Project Committee.
Yes, sir. This is, agenda item, the last time we did a committee on the T-Splosh, for the single county T-Splosh and the regional, we had a committee, made up of 2 commissioners and staff, and I didn't know if that's something you all wanted to do again. It works better that way, with staff and then normally 2 commissioners.
Okay.
Say if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
The Regional T-Splosh Project.
And I don't know if you want to appoint them today, or if you wanted to wait till the May 8th meeting. I just wanted to make you aware that's how it worked before. And we actually generated a list based on what all the commission want as far as proposed projects. And then we started working on, because we'll have to come up with engineering estimates, because that was the way it was done before. And you have to put those in there for them to be able to accept them. On the projects, you have to have an engineering estimate.
Okay, we got to have these things pretty fast now. I mean, pretty quick.
Well, the
We ain't
next
got too much
meeting,
longer.
the next meeting is, the 17th of May, I think.
May.
And so I thought if we headed committee down, we could go ahead and start meeting, hopefully, every 7 to 10 days to start working on that list. Because it's possible they may call for all the projects sometime in the middle of summer. And so it gives us time to get the engineering estimates put together.
Okay.
To be able to submit that, because it would have to be a presentation, to the executive board.
All right.
Need to ask Scott.
Go
So
ahead.
on this T-Splosh, when does it come up again? I mean, as far as what is, this the one where you got to have
well-
10 of the 18 counties vote on it?
That's correct. Yeah, they're already up to that process. They're meeting now. What they have planned is to go ahead and try to attempt to, put it on referendum and see if it passes. If it doesn't pass, there's still enough time to do the process again before the current one expires.
When does the current one expire?
It was programmed to go out the 2028, but it's gonna be 2026 because the collections are exceeding expectations.
Yeah, the collections got a lot better than they said it
Yes,
would.
sir.
Right.
Yeah, they've
Gonna go out 2
actually
years
far
early.
beyond where they ever thought,
Okay.
but, that was the way they had planned, because it has to go back on referendum and be voted back in again. And so if it fails, then they have time to put it back together and try it again to see if it'll pass.
It's kind of similar like with Splosh, once you reach that amount, then you pretty much got to stop collecting.
Yes,
Okay.
So I didn't know if y'all wanted to think about who wants to serve on that committee. But that's just an idea. That's how we did it last time.
Okay.
Yeah. We probably need to go ahead and pick them because we don't have that much time. We need,
Projects. It gives us more time
listed.
to get those engineering estimates put together.
So would the chairman automatically be on that, or?
Really depends who the commission wants to be on the committee. Everything has to funnel back to the commission anyway to be approved.
Does
So it's
it-
not like you're having two that's only putting projects on there and approving it. Whatever that committee comes up with as far as a recommendation of the projects, it will be brought back to the commission to discuss it, vote on it, and move forward.
I move that we put Commissioner Steve Barnard and Chairman Elmer Thrift on there.
I second that motion.
so we don't have to have two besides the chairman, just the chairman can
Can't be three.
one. Huh?
Yeah, if
It
you have
could be
three, you
three
have this
anyway.
It
quorum, and then
can't,
you
can't
have
be
to,
three.
you would have to notice a meeting if you have three or more.
Okay. All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion on it? Okay, we'll vote. Mr. Burson?
Aye.
Mr. Pope?
Aye.
Mr. Lucas?
Aye.
Mr. Barner? I reckon you voted to yourself then. Okay, now we'll go on to Albany Avenue Overpass Design Committee.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commission, this is more or less like the same thing. Once the commission appoints two committees to this, project, the city will also do the same. I've already made them aware that we would need, two representatives off their commission, to work on this design. Once we get going, we've signed the contract with, Practical Design Partners. And so once that committee is put together, then we'll ask them to come make a visit, and we'll sit down with them to go over the design and make sure that's what everybody's wanting. And then that design will be taken back to both committees, to both commissions.
Okay,
And this is on the Albany Avenue overpass.
And you say you want to try to have that first meeting by the 12th, I believe it was, or
Yes, sir,
something like that?
if at all
right?
possible.
okay, we need to pick a committee, and then the city needs to pick a committee.
Yes, sir. They're aware of that. They said they'll try to have one in the next few days.
So if,
We'll have a committee of two members off the county commission, two members off of the city commission, and staff from both city and county.
okay. I hear a motion that we pick two.
Chairman, I would like to make a motion for Commissioner Pope, and my reason being that he's, has a long tenure on the county commission. He's familiar with these type of projects, and, I know it's got to come back to the commission, but I think he would, be a good fit for that.
I move that, Mr. Commissioner Leonard Burst be appointed with Commissioner Pope because of his experience and knowledge over the railroad, and this overpass is going over a railroad, so I think he needs to be there for that.
Spoke too quick. Should have nominated me.
Plus it's in his district on top of that.
I've been over enough railroad tracks in 43 years, but, I don't have a problem with that. But the only thing is, with the city, they're gonna have, to be city representation, and Jerry represents the city just like I do, so I think to have two of the city, county commissioner represent city district might be a little bit too much, so we need to get a county commissioner that represents the county district, which would be,
Already seconded
Tim,
the motion. You already, you don't have a choice. You're in.
A second?
You got time to do
No,
that? Well, do Elmer then.
well, we've already had a second. I moved and had a second.
I second all of it.
All right, what we're gonna do now, what's the motion?
I made a move to have Commissioner Pope and Commissioner Burst put on there.
And I second it.
Is the committee,
That's the committee, yes, sir.
and vote second. Okay. Let's vote, bro. Mr. Pope?
Aye.
Mr. Burst?
aye.
You're
Lucas?
excited about it.
Mr. Barner? All right. Okay. Let's move on to, we took care of that. Now we're gonna go into the, guest speakers. And Mr. Spencer Bagley is gonna come up and talk to us about the library.
I am not a public speaker, so I have prepared my statements. All I ask is that you just let me get through them. A lot of you know who I am, but for those that do not, my name is Spencer Baxley, and while I've worn many hats in my 8 years working with Ware County, my current position as Internet Media Coordinator has been the most rewarding. It's a confusing title, but the goal of my work is to provide government departments with adequate avenues of distribution for information so that they might increase transparency and foster the public's engagement with local government. That can sometimes seem like a tall order, but I kind of like a challenge. Since 2019, we've live streamed public meetings as a way for citizens to participate in the process of government, regardless of their ability to attend in person, as well as archiving those videos so that they can watch or review them at their leisure. With the launch of the new county website on March 31st, we now also have a means to distribute documentation to the public without necessitating time-consuming records requests. And we've done so keeping at the forefront the varying levels of ability citizens possess and push to make sure that information is easily accessible. I'm incredibly proud of what we've accomplished so far, but know there's still so much more that can be done. But I'm not here simply to talk about my work. I'm here to tell you a little bit more about myself. I've spent a large part of my life trying to get people to truly see the humanity of my community, and with the way things have been lately, it's easy to get disheartened. At the age of 12, I contemplated ending my life almost daily, because for as long as I could remember, I was told by my church that there was something fundamentally wrong with me. I'm speaking today because I never want another person to experience that kind of pain, the kind that swallows up every part of you until you think you might drown. For me, every individual is a gemstone in the crown that is God, and to whoever needs to hear this, I am so sorry that there are people who simply cannot see the reflection of divinity in you, but I need you to know that I see you. Not the you that you have to be when you're around a family that doesn't accept you, not the you that you have to be when you're at work afraid of what might happen if they knew. Not the you that you have to be to survive a world that positions itself at odds with you. I see you. Growing up, I never believed that I would even survive, but today I am not only alive, but I live. I have a loving husband, a great circle of friends, a beautiful house, a great job where I serve the citizens of Ware County, and I have built a good life here because this is my home. Life is often difficult, and it's compounded exponentially by my being gay. I think in some ways I'll always carry with me that 12-year-old's pain, but I'm so glad that I stayed. To the citizens of Ware County that might be suffering, I hope you'll stay too. You are worthy by virtue of your existence, and you exist because something far greater than you desired it. Please never forget that, and please just stay. And to the Ware County Board of Commissioners, this isn't an admonishment. There's been more than enough hurt words lately to go around. This is a plea that while you continue to discuss, deliberate, debate, and make academic exercise of queer identities, you remember that these aren't abstract concepts. They're citizens, taxpayers, neighbors, but above all, they're people. I am a person endowed by my Creator with certain unalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I'll leave you with a quote from Charles M. Blow, columnist for the New York Times. One doesn't have to operate with great malice to do great harm. The absence of empathy and understanding are sufficient. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Spencer.
Thank you, Spencer. Anybody else from the floor?
It's open, yes.
5 minutes.
Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate you allowing me to speak. My name is Crystal Wynn, and my family's been very active in the library for many years. And I know many of you, and I appreciate all the work that you do here. And I came to talk to you more about the issues that were brought up at a former meeting with the library, about how I take my children into the library. And since 2019, 2020, there have been a lot of drastic changes at the library, including staffing. We got a new regional director and many new branch managers. She's over 5 counties, including Ware. Many new branch managers there and a largely new library staff. And since then, there have been drastic changes within the library that I hope you've been made aware of by now. One of which is when I would go in to check out books with my children, above the checkout counter, not in the corner of the library area, but above the checkout counter are flags. And there's multiple ones that I have been educated about as to what they mean, because my children asked what these flags represent. I know flags represent something. And so I had to explain about gay, lesbian, bisexuality, asexual, pansexual. I was very much educated. And that was at the library. We've been working with the library for the last 6 months, trying to speak with them about making changes there regarding the flags. And the flags did come down. They were up from March of 2021 until we attended a board meeting and asked them to be taken down. And they were voted to be taken down temporarily in October of 2022. So they were up for a very long span of time, continually. And they are slated to return certain times during the year. There was also a tree at one point that the teens themed LGBTQ, another sexuality themed tree, where there were rainbow ornaments that patrons were encouraged to take home with them in the library. There have been Pride Book displays in Ware, Pierce, and Bacon County libraries, which are all funded by the regional library, which you appoint board members to, and you fund. I believe you are the largest funding source for the library. There have also been issues with the restrooms, where men are entering the girls' restroom and women are entering the boys' restroom. These have been documented, and the regional director has addressed them to the board. There's a board member that was appointed by this commission that said that it needs to remain that way, where men can enter the women's restroom and women can enter the men's, because there's documentation and that says transgender people, when they enter the correct restroom, are more likely to be harmed. So we've been going for the last 6 months asking, there's also book clubs about sexuality for adults and also for minors. There's a 13 to 17-year-old book club in Ware County, where it's an LGBTQ book club, where if you think about your sexuality at 13 years old and you decide that you want to have sex with this kind of person, or you're attracted to this kind of person, then you would join this book club at 13 to 17 years old. So with these things going on, we addressed the board and said, listen, everyone should be welcome at the library. Every person should be able to come into the library freely and use the library and gain education and any interest that they have within the library. However, displaying flags or murals about sexuality, where we come into the library and we see something and our children see something and they ask, and I have to explain to my daughters, this means this person wants to have sex with this person. This means this kind of person wants to have sex with this kind of person, but not this kind of person, is never appropriate at the library. There's no month out of the year where that should be displayed at the Ware County Library or any of the counties in our region. Also, it's very simple to enact a policy that says biological men use the biological men's marked restroom, biological women use the women's restroom, because we have a single stall restroom. So if you don't feel comfortable going in those restrooms, then go to the single stall restroom. There is a place for you. Everybody's welcome at the library. So these would be basic policies. No displays on sexuality. And a bathroom policy that says biological men use the men's restroom, biological women use the women's restroom, or use the single stall restroom, to protect everyone involved and make hopefully everyone would feel more comfortable with that, including transgender people. And those are simple policies, but we've been approaching the board at the library for these policies to be passed for 6 months now, and they have not been passed. There's a board member that this commission placed on the board that has said, no, it needs to stay that way, where men can go in women's and women can go in men, because of those issues they addressed, and the single stall restroom was not enough. So there's definitely resistance to passing these two very simple policies, and we're asking you to please help as you fund the majority of these flags, the tree, the bathrooms there, the building. This is the Ware County Commission that we would need to come to ask for help. You also place these commissioners, I believe 3 commissioners you seat, 4 commissioners you seat on the library regional board. That's the policy-making board. So it really does fall in your hands, and we're asking for help since our tax dollars are funding all of this, and you channel it to the library. So please advise us, please make movements to get these policies passed or to change leadership within the library. Thank you very much. I appreciate you letting me speak, and I thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good afternoon. My name is Kenneth Taft. I'm an attorney here in town. I was not aware that these items were going to be on an agenda today to be discussed. at least. I didn't know there was going to be open time from the floor. However, in response to what Ms. Leach just said, I'd like to remind the commission that there's not been any sexual displays at the library. The only thing that was ever up at the library were some flags that displayed mainly rainbow colors. Now, some people have taken issue with that, but what those flags represent are inclusion. They don't have any overt sexual imagery. And if Ms. Leach is disturbed by the flags or finds it difficult to discuss those flags with her children, rather than tell them that they have to do with who someone has sex with, why doesn't she try telling her children that it represents who a person loves? You know, we can all make the decisions as parents about how to explain difficult concepts to children that are age appropriate. And maybe it's not age appropriate for her to be discussing sex with her children if she doesn't want to. And she doesn't have to. All she has to say, if anything, is those flags represent people. And that's all we as people, as members of the LGBT plus community want, is to be accepted in a community, not rejected. What Ms. Leach and those like her are asking the library to do are exclude people from the library. I thought we settled that decades ago when we said that our public spaces were not segregated. The truth of the matter is the only documented evidence of problems in library bathrooms has occurred between when the police were called because two heterosexual people, a man and a woman, were engaging in sexual activity in the bathroom, not members of the LGBT plus community. In addition, I would like to say, it's not about the bathrooms, just like it was never about the water fountains. The discrimination that the folks are asking this commission to sanction is outlawed. The civil rights laws that already exist in our country protect the right of individuals to use a bathroom that conforms with their gender identity. So if you decide to change those policies to conflict with those laws, then you better prepare yourself for a lawsuit, because that's what will happen. And in addition, I would like to say, where is the humanity in all this? The only thing that members of the LGBT plus community want to do is go to a public library. They're not engaging in any nefarious activity there. Why is it that only a certain group of people are targeted? Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hello, thank you. I would like to address some of those issues. First, I want to say that the policies that we're asking for at the library are about displays. They're not about people coming into the library. I and my sister and all the others who are concerned, I don't know of anyone who has said not to allow anybody that lives a certain lifestyle into the library. That is not our goal. That is what I would call a straw man, but that's just a dishonest argument. We are not here to exclude anybody from the library. The policies we're asking for are not to display a certain belief on the wall, an ideology, if you will. They claim that we're trying to go in there and make the library a church. I do not want the library to put up a Christian flag. I don't want the library to put up a Christian doctrine on the wall. I also don't want the library to put up the LGBT, homosexual and transgender flags representing that ideology or religion, if you will, or group of people, excluding us. See, we're not wanting to exclude anybody. We don't want to put a Christian flag that says homosexuals can't come. But a homosexual flag that says if you believe homosexuality is wrong, which I will sit here and tell you I do. I don't hate anyone. But the reality is there is no such thing as transgender. Nobody has ever gone from a man to a woman or from a woman to a man. So that reality should, the opposite of that reality, a lie should not be put up there saying, here is a flag representing a man turning into a woman at our public library. So there is that. But I'm not saying that anyone who believes that way should not come to the library. Also, the library reached out to a lawyer asking about the bathroom policy. That statement that there's a law saying that you can't have a bathroom segregated by biology is just completely false. That lawyer said that if you had a policy separating based on biology, it would be upheld. He also said he didn't recommend it because unless there's a problem at the library with men going into the women's restroom and women going into the men's restroom. I have his email if any of you are interested, because he's saying I'm lying. I have the email from the lawyer that says that policy would be upheld, but he didn't recommend it unless there's problems. Now, they also said that there was no issues. While we were at the library at the February meeting, 3 times, according to the director, Martha Powers, 3 times, I have the email of that as well, Martha said, 2 individuals went into the wrong restroom because there was prayer vigils blocking the restroom. I was there, I don't remember anybody blocking restrooms, but she told the board members, yes, 2 individuals went into the wrong restroom, but they told me about it, and they said that they were blocked by people holding a prayer vigil. I believe that that's not true, but even if it were, they couldn't tap on our shoulder and say, get out of the way, I need to go to the bathroom. They went into the wrong restroom. And then a woman came while I was standing there. A woman in women's attire went to the boys' restroom, looked at us, and then walked directly into the men's room. So 3 times in one day, people went into the wrong restroom. So I told Martha Powers, yes, this is an issue. Please tell your lawyer that said you can have this policy. He said that the policy would be upheld by the law. Please tell him there is an issue. And then Ms. Tawana Harris responded to that email, arguing to keep the policy the way it is and allow men to go into the women's restroom because transgender youth, I have the email, because transgender youth are more likely to be harmed if they go to the correct bathroom. That's the board member that you have chosen. We warned you about that for 2 months before you chose her. I hope now you understand why. I know probably you didn't realize this is actually going on, but it is going on. And we're not excluding anybody from the library. We're not trying to say anybody is not human. But also, we don't want you preaching at the library that what we believe is wrong. We want everybody to be included. And those 2 flags right there say that everybody are people, including all of you who identify, anybody who identifies as anything. Those flags represent them. The other flags say that I'm not welcome at the library. I know you don't make policy. What we're asking you to do is to address the board member who is saying men should go into the other bathroom because transgender youth might be hurt. If they go into the correct bathroom, they might get hurt. They can go to the single stall bathroom if they're scared of that. I agree that there needs to be an option for that because they could. If they look different to some people, we have some terrible people that would possibly hurt them. So I would encourage them to use the single stall bathroom. Don't make everyone else go to the wrong bathroom. Do you understand? Anyway, I'm sorry. Let me pause. What we're asking you to do is to address that board member that you elected or get rid of her or defund the library. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Josh. Listen, man. All right.
Let Tawana talk.
Got one more.
Good evening, Commissioners. As it has been pointed out, I am Tawana Harris, one of the persons who is serving as a trustee at the library. First, let me begin by saying I have been a library patron for many years, and I appreciate the creativity and the broad view and the care that the current library staff provides in providing programming. They are responding to the community. They are attentive to the needs of the community, and they also take very good care of our children that are there. As much as possible, they watch, they intervene, they assist. And with that, that does not mean that active parenting is not needed when people are at the library. As a trustee, there have been times where I have walked into the library and had a different opinion about a display or something on, and the library staff has been very open to conversation and have responded to that. In light of the flags that were up for a couple of years, and it came during the time when we had COVID. So the library was closed for much of that time. And when it reopened and a concern from the community came about those flags, we responded. Now, I know some people expect or had expectation of us of what exactly would happen and how we respond. But we wanted to make sure that we covered our liabilities, and that we had consultation and participation in making those decisions. And I know recently on some social media posts that there was a call for persons to gather together to have those flags taken down, but they have been taken down. In terms of return, what we simply did was voted on a policy that would allow us to continue having displays, and that we would have discretion about what was included in those displays. For example, if we did a Cinco de Mayo display, which is about Mexican Independence Day, that may be a display where it would be appropriate to put up a Mexican flag. So we didn't want to just cancel out everything, throw the baby out with the bathwater, if you will. In terms of parental explanation for different things that are at the library, library is very intentional about having age-appropriate things placed in areas. So we have children's area, we are very cognizant, and we talk to the library, and I visit and participate in the library to ensure that this is happening. To make sure that if there's material that the library should have in its stacks, that maybe shouldn't be out and readily available and displayed for children who are not able or should not be making those type of decisions for themselves. Certainly, like the LGBTQ teen book club, there is no teen that can participate in that book club without the consent of their parent. We recognize that this is something that our community is dealing with, not only at the library, but at school, on the playground, at the supermarket. And so the library serves as a place of education where people can have an opportunity to flesh out those understandings and to learn about them. The bathrooms, interpretation is everything. I'll start with that. And sometimes our perceptions are bigger than reality. And when we're looking for something, oftentimes we will find it. In the email in question, the email was sent out to the library board saying that it was very dangerous and pointing out all of the dangers involved with someone goes into the opposite sex bathroom. And that I have had that experience very recently at Circle K. I walked in the restroom, and I used the restroom, I'm washing my hands, and as I'm washing my hands, a gentleman walks in. Of course, I startled him because he thought I was in the men's room. It turned out he was in the ladies' room. He tried to correct me. I pointed to the sign. He saw the sign. He apologized. He turned around and walked out. It was a mistake. It happens. In my email, I didn't say that this is what I wanted. I simply pointed out the opposite point, in that there's a whole lot more data that says if we don't look at this holistically, and if we're not looking at the data and what actually is happening, we can miss the fact that more often persons who are of a different gender get hurt in same-gender bathrooms than persons of opposite sex who enter the wrong bathroom.
Okay, you're out of time.
No problem. Thank you.
You're out of time. Thank you. I'm not gonna ask anybody else to come up. I heard enough. And I think there ought to be the bathroom, there ought to be a male and a female. And I think all the signs and all the flags ought to come out of the library, or it'd be like what we got right here. And I don't think all this stuff ought to be pushed on nobody. Whatever you are, you be what you are. But you ain't gotta put it on me. So let's let that thing go. And I wanna ask that this library be cleaned up. And if we gonna support it, then it should be like this building right here, or else shut it down. So what we gonna do is I'm gonna suggest that we clean this library up, or either we gonna defund it and stop it. So I'm just gonna leave that for y'all to think about.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm not in favor of
Okay.
defunding the library.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Well,
I'm not gonna do it.
Go ahead.
And I know this is very sensitive and very touchy subject. I've talked with Commissioner Lucas about it. I'm very concerned about it. Now, I think that's kind of like overkill when we start talking about defunding the thing and all that. I think we can kind of come together and try to reason this thing out. Now, I can't, the
Well,
gentleman
y'all,
right here
you
said,
didn't listen to me, Mr. Burr, excuse me now. I asked you that we do it, or either we defund it. Now,
Okay.
we gonna either straighten it up, or we're gonna defund it. Now, if we're gonna go the other way, then we're gonna have to, you know, look at it.
so when you say straighten it out, clean
That's
it up,
right.
what, how about?
Male and female bathrooms, take all them signs and anything that goes along with gays, lesbians, LGBT, whatever y'all call that stuff, I don't know nothing about it. But all that stuff needs to come out of that library. And that's what I'm trying to say. Now, are
So
you
basically
playing with that?
Yeah,
I mean,
okay. So basically what you're saying is that either we be inclusive of different groups, like say, talking about the Mexican holiday, whatever,
They
Black
welcome.
History Month, or we take and just don't have any of it.
We don't have none of it.
So-
They welcome to come to the library, come in there, use the restrooms, do whatever they want to.
But-
But they can't bring their junk with them.
Right.
You know?
I want to ask the gentleman, I can't think of your name right here. When you were saying, making a statement about, people like transgender or something going into the wrong restroom and how they could be hurt or something like that. And I'm just trying to figure, being. The what now? It was somebody said something about if a transgender person would go in there, they most susceptible to being harmed or something like that. Would that you say that?
Yes, that's what Ms. Tawana Harris responded to. She said that it's dangerous to make men go into the biological males go into the biological male restroom, and the biological females go into the biological female restroom.
And I'm not.
Because if if a man identifies as a woman, he might get hurt from people who don't want him in the male restroom.
Okay, but what I'm saying is this right here. Okay, and I'm really trying to really stay out, but then I'm trying to get an understanding. So me being a male, I never have gone into a restroom and trying to like looking and scoping out, seeing what somebody look like or what they think. I'm going to do what I got to do and get out of there. And that's why I can't understand what's the rationale behind that. That if you go in there and you identified, I mean, I just never seen that. Maybe I've been asleep or something, you know.
I may not understand.
Well, I can tell you,
You might be
Commissioner Burris, it is happening at the library. It's happening without hesitation. That is the one thing that I am totally against, 1,000%, is transgender or not, I am not against the LGBTQ community at all. I think I've proven that time and time again. I'm not gonna go into the many ways I've proven that, even with my own family. But I do not agree with a male walking in a little girl's restroom.
No.
Or a female walking into a male's
Right.
restroom. I will vote against that. I'll vote against it on this board, and I'll vote against it on the library board. I'm not voting for it at all.
And I can.
I have one question. If someone who says that.
I'm sorry, you're out of order, you're out of order. You have to be heard by the chairman, I'm sorry, you're out of
I would
order.
like to ask one question.
If the chairman would like, he may allow you to step to the podium, but we can't allow anyone to yell
Yes.
out from the audience, so.
Hold on. Go ahead, Mr. Burris.
No, I was just trying to get understanding about that, about the male, the female bathroom and all that. And then I understand you say you have like, what, a single stall?
We do, they do, yes.
Okay, so the single stall would be for someone that just want to go in there by themselves and nobody else could come in there because they could lock the door behind them and, you know.
Mr. Commissioner Burris, I brought that up 6 months ago when I was at one of my first or second meetings there about that. That's the same thing we did at the high school when I policed the school system. And that was about 18 years ago. And that was when the rotunda was built. There was 2 single stalls up there that were actually staff restrooms that we actually changed for the LGBTQ community to use if they were uncomfortable using the boys and the girls using the girls. That's what those 2 bathrooms became. And I simply made the proposal, the family restroom be that, well, I actually made 2 proposals. One of them was made by me and one of them was made by Mr. Strickland, Commissioner Strickland from the city. If this continues to be an issue, take all the stalls out of the girls but one, take all the stalls out of the boys' restroom but one. I mean, I cannot, in good conscience, say it's okay for a man to walk in a girl's restroom when I got a daughter and a granddaughter. I can't do it. I'm not gonna do it.
And you know, just like, I was just in Jacksonville the other day for my wife, she had to have surgery. And then even in this hospital, they have a unisex bathroom. Now, basically, I guess when you go in there, you close the door behind you, you know, do whatever you got to do and you come on out, you know. So, I mean, that's either one can go in there, but not at the same time now.
Right.
Right, and I like I said, I do have a problem with that because somebody going in there, you know, and this I'll tell you, this is a mess.
Yes,
It is.
I agree.
And you know, in some kind of way, we got to try to come together. The script says, "Come, let us reason together," to try to find out the best solution to work it out to where, you know, we don't try to so much offend anyone, but also don't try to put anything on anybody, like the chairman was saying.
Yeah.
And I'm not for.
I'm not against any of it. It just, y'all just keep that stuff, whatever it is you gotta do it. But you come to this building, you got a male and a female down there. We ain't got no flags up here. We ain't gonna have that. We don't have to, do we, Council?
Mr. Chairman, I think what we've done, I mean, it's after 5:30 now. We've heard from a number of people on this topic. The board has discussed the topic at length. I want to remind the commission that, of course, we do have limited input as to what the policies of the library are. Now, you all understand that your role with the library are as a funding mechanism on behalf of the county. My understanding is we provide the building, and then you have appointments to the board. So I think we're all aware of what the issue is going forward. If you have specific legal questions, I'm glad to advise those, you know, any issues on that going forward also. Keeping in mind what our role as the Board of Commissioners is, along with the library board.
Yeah, okay. The library board is responsible. Also, I think we have a little bit of input because we fund it. We put money in it. We put money in, we should have some say-so. I believe that. I don't know, you need to correct me on that, but.
They come up with their policies. We are the funding mechanism, or partial funding mechanism, and of course, you know, I was taught as a young child, the golden rule, he who has the gold makes the rules. But I say that in jest only to say that, no, we should not be micromanaging any of our funding sources' policies. Now, if we believe they're going in a direction that we don't agree with, of course, you know, in the future, we will look carefully at the budget, we'll look carefully at our appointments, all these different type things. But no, you know, I think council would have to say that, that's true for any board that we fund, right? Is they're responsible for their policies, we're responsible for what we're responsible for. So we want to make sure that we stay in our lane on that.
Jennifer, as I understand it, you can correct me, so I'll be correct. As you said, the regional board sets the policy. The Ware County Commission does not set policy. The local library board does not set policy. They have to follow the state policy set by the regional board, right? The regional board of trustees sets the budget.
Well, and I do want to clarify clarify, I mean, they do have a local constitution for the
Right.
Waycross Ware County Library, and then they've got the regional constitution. So it's a layered approach, and I think I mentioned earlier, there's 5 counties, I think, within that region.
And
But
the
yes, go
region-
ahead, I'm sorry.
And the region board hires the director. And
For the
employ-
region, not for the, I'm not sure about the
employees that-
local, yeah.
Employees at the library are state employees, they are not county employees.
That's correct.
So we have no control over employees at the Okanokie Library. I just wanted to make sure I was correct.
Thank you for that.
I would like to point if I may, just a point of clarity in that I think we're talking about all of the ongoing conversations to come up with a solution that minimizes liability. As a matter of fact, we have consulted an attorney and have heard from him, and he's gonna come and talk with us to give us a better idea how to move forward. It's not like we're not looking to move forward, but we wanna do it in a way that is systematic, that minimizes liability, and that serves the greater community. So, for example, we talked about this unisex bathroom, and the staff said that they keep an eye out. They have somebody there to keep an eye out on the restrooms to watch the traffic and what's going on. And they use that unisex library that's near the children's section. They direct the children to use that bathroom so that they can see them and that they're the only ones in there. So I don't want to make it seem like there's not any activity that's happened to try to mitigate the circumstance. In the meantime, while we consult legal counsel, we work through the logistics of the building to come up with a viable solution that's long lasting. That's the point of clarity I wanted to provide. It's
Okay.
just some folks want an instant answer, and we are working on it, commissioners, we are working on it.
All right, y'all work on it.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay, got anything over the commission?
Could you appoint 2 commissioners to go and visit the fiscal plant at the library? That's what we do. They maintain the library with our funds and see what they're
Okay.
talking about and come back and tell us what's going on, because I'm in there pretty often and I've never seen any of this. And I think it would be appropriate for 2 of us to meet with the director and go
Okay.
over all these things.
That'd be a good thing. Let's point to go to the, meetings along with Timmy, 2 other ones? No. He's already on the board, so we just have one more.
Since he's on the
We-
board, he shouldn't be involved on the committee.
Yeah,
It
he
needs to
can't
be
be
2
on-
separate ones.
Okay, we can have 2 more to go.
Yeah, just 2 of us.
All right?
Jerry, you want me to do it? Leonard?
can.
I'll volunteer my time to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think it'd be good, but let me say this, Mr. Chairman, and I think that's a good suggestion, but what I did when this started manifesting itself as it did, I just went over there just as a citizen. Matter of fact, I renewed my library card while I was there. And, just to really, we hear a lot of things, but sometimes it's different things. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. So went there went there, had no thing saying I'm a commissioner, just went there as a citizen. And, just trying to see, what was going on. And I looked at some of the displays or whatever you want to call it there. But my thing is that, these displays, okay, they may be there, but then a lot of times people not really even paying attention to that. When they're going in there. If they're going in there for a certain thing, they're not really, gravitating toward, they can just find something to, pick out about a display or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I think that's good. Like I say, just go over there and just look at it and, find out if it's as big a boogeyman as you think it is,
Might be some changes to the restrooms we can do to
Right.
satisfy everyone. We could look at that.
Okay. We'll point
And
Steve
commission-
and, Jerry to go.
Commission, I have come back to y'all and told y'all my feelings of what's been happening going on, and I have made y'all very aware and as plain spoken as I possibly can. I am not against excluding anyone. Everybody's welcome. But I cannot be a part of what I just said. A man walking into a little girl's restroom and a woman walking into a little boy's restroom. I can't deal with that. I can't do that. Can't vote for that. Not going to. That is my concern. That's my only concern. It's
I don't
not who
think-
goes, when they go, or whatever. That's my biggest
I
concern.
don't think any of us up here want to see that.
Okay,
No.
Okay.
thank y'all.
All right. Anything else? We need to vote on that, appoint them.
Sir?
We
Mr.
just
Chairman, I
appointed.
believe you've got one person asking to be recognized. I don't know if we have had an extensive public comment period, so if the board feels like that time is closed, but you do have someone that's asking to be recognized.
Okay, the lady back there that stood up, wanted to talk, yeah, come up.
Been there this long.
We'll let you come up, Carol.
Sir, I just have one burning question. And
If you don't mind, and I'm sorry, we've been slack about this, but state your name and address for the
Barbara
record.
Griffin, I live in Ware County. And I'm involved with the library, and I've been to every single meeting that they've had since this whole issue was raised. And I think, like Ken said, the bathroom is just something to focus on, like water fountains were back in the day when they were black and white water fountains among everything else. And the bathrooms were treated the same way. But if someone who identifies as male is dressed as a male, who looks like a male, walks into the man's bathroom, who is going to stop them and determine their biological sex? Same for someone who is dressed as a woman, who considers himself a woman, who goes into the woman's restroom, goes in the stall, and closes the door. Is anybody going to appoint themselves as the biological verifier? Are you going to ask someone to drop their pants? I don't think that would go over very well. And I think when people say things like this, they don't really think of the logical way you can apply something like that. We have been using public bathrooms for many, many years in this country. There are some I would never go into, like in the New York City subway system, which you don't want to know about. But other places, you have to have a little faith that you're going to be able to go in, close the door, and do what you got to do. If there's a urinal in there, I'm probably in the wrong place. If there isn't one, then you're in the wrong place. That's it.
Thank you. Okay.
Did you want to say something?
Did somebody else stand up and want to talk? We will give you one more, come up.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell your name and
Okay, my name is Andrea Miller, and I live on Elmer Thrift Road. And I just wanted to say that a lot of this is people looking for problems, just to be carrying on about stuff. It bothers me that just without even going to the library, the commissioner said that we gotta clean up the library. You've stated there's nothing going on at the library. They're not up there recruiting kids to become gay. It's a wonderful library, and Mr. Lucas has acted very unprofessional at the board meetings. He
Ma'am, I'm sorry, if you don't mind, just direct your comments to the board as a whole. That's just our general policy.
You know, you put people on the board that don't even apparently use the library. They were only on there because they have certain beliefs, and it's not, I don't know, now they refuse to sign the ethics statement, just saying that they will uphold the policies of the library. I just find it disturbs me that people are just, you know, just assuming that the library needs to be cleaned up. There's nothing at the library to clean up.
okay. They may not be, but they show a lot of smoke. Where there's a lot of smoke, there's bound to be some fire around somewhere. So I'm telling you, that's as far as we going with it. Okay. Any more, Commissioners? I hear a motion to we'll adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned.